Town of Rome Board meeting to order for Thursday, November 4th, 5 o'clock. And can I get a roll call starting from my left?
Weisinger here.
Major here.
Hasdall here,
Barheit here.
and Dan is out of town. Number 3, can we get a certified posting of the meeting, please?
I certify that on Monday, November 1st, 2021, the agenda for the Town of Rome Board meeting for Thursday, November 4th, 2021 was emailed to the Wisconsin Rapids Tribune at 4:55 p.m., posted at Rome Town Hall at 5:19 p.m., at Fritzl's Trading Post at 5:32 p.m., and Nakusa Port Edward State Bank at 5:38 p.m.
Thank you. Number 4, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I move we approve the November 4th agenda.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Number 5, stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Number 6, citizen comments. Any cards?
No.
We'll dispense with number 6. No action contemplated except possible referral to future agenda. Number 7, information updates, meeting recaps, recent correspondence, current events, or announcements. Jerry, would you start, please?
I have nothing. I can make up.
Dan?
I have nothing.
Hopefully I'm not taking your thunder, but we had the Halloween drive-through at the town center, which I thought was very well attended and by the business owners and the children and grandchildren of the area. And also I did want to thank Jamie at this point for her outstanding work on the budget review meeting. I thought it went very well and you did a very, very good job of helping us get that pushed through. Thank you.
I agree with that too.
No dissenters.
I would share that thank you with all the department heads that helped to assemble the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob?
I have nothing.
Okay, discuss and possible action on the following items. Discussion and action, approval of the October 28th, 2021 meeting minutes.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Discussion and action, checks, vouchers, receipts, and journal entries. Approved checks number 43503 through 43602 totaling $146,000, $574.52. Auto payments totaling $57,748.04. State Social Security and Medicare withholding totaling $32,837.07. Payroll vouchers V17830 through V17958 totaling $83,612.25. Receipts number 22643 through 2740 totaling $356,658.57.
Motion to approve checks, vouchers, and receipts as presented.
I second it.
Any discussion? 2 quick questions. One, building permits. Those seem to be, I saw a lot of them on the packet. Are we way ahead of last year or significantly or?
Just this morning, Greg had given me an update that we are at 58 new homes for the year,
Wow.
and the highest in that since Greg has been here. Previous to that's 36. So yes,
Yeah, it was 45 just a month ago.
yeah,
And those are the permits, so the construction is going to be starting. And,
yes, yeah. Now all permits are good for 2 years.
okay.
Yes, but
And it looks like the flags are doing quite well over at the Rome Town Center.
all the flags have been purchased. We should have a proof back by the end of this week.
Wow. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Number 10, discussion and possible action, approval of minor adjustments to Successor collective bargaining agreement between the Town of Rome and Rome Professional Police Association, WPPA/LEER for 2022 through 2025. Can we get a motion, please?
Motion to approve the adjustments to the collective bargaining agreement.
I second it.
Any discussion? I did have one question. It may have been a misprint. It says on 16.03, it says for the 9 holidays listed above, but there was only 5 listed.
Oh,
I
that's
don't
just
know if it was missing.
because I
It's fine.
only gave the pages where the changes were. There
Okay.
wasn't any changes to that, so I
Okay.
didn't.
Good. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Number 11, discussion only, review 2021 passive road ratings for the town of Rome.
Again, just the discussion only item, I wanted to include them in the packet. I know supervisors like to see them, but road ratings are done every other year, on the odd number year. And enclosed one in the packet was the results for the town of Rome. Obviously, we use this in formulating our road plan and adjusting our road plan on an annual basis. I did also include how the rating system works. So it goes from 1 being failed to 10, just so you have a cross-reference of the ratings, and then they are in by road type and then by rating. So you have all the 25s first, which are our unimproved roads, up to 70, which are our hot mix roads.
Jamie, when did they do that this year?
Brad didn't do it that long ago, so they did it after the summer season.
We did it ourselves this year?
Yes, Brad
Okay.
did it, yes.
Yeah, he finished up about a week ago or 10
Yeah.
days maybe.
Is there any kind of rating system on this? We can see how we're sitting against prior years, or anything, you know, up, down with improvements, or I just throwing it out there.
Certainly, we have it in Excel. We could organize the previous 2 years ago, or last time we did it by Excel, and then put them side by side if you wanted to see that.
Just,
It would take just a little bit to do it. We just would have to organize it's an Excel sheet, so we can manipulate
okay,
it.
something quick, but just see, make sure we're going in the right direction, heading up.
Yeah, well, and obviously, some go up and some go down. So I like to use Lilac as an example. Lilac had 4 homes built on it, like it went down. It had a lot of extra truck traffic, otherwise that wouldn't have occurred if it didn't have 4 homes built on it this year.
Thank you. Any other discussion on 11? Number 12, discussion and possible action. Fire chief position considerations, including determining position requirements, description updates, next steps, timeline, and potential recruitment plan.
Okay, so there's a ton of information in your packet tonight on this agenda item, and I think we'll have a healthy conversation. I kind of want to break the conversation into 2 pieces just for kind of ease. They're related but 2 separate. So first is right now we have an interim position. We have that interim position at part-time. I did email out to you timesheets and a calendar of hours that are being put in as part of that interim position, and it's more than part-time. The alternative to that, which is related but separate, is then next steps. Identifying our needs. Do the items that are included in the packet, like the position description and the breakdown of duties, match what we're looking for in this position? So obviously that adjusts what the interim does as well as what we would recruit for. That's why they're related. But I think we have our immediate item of how is interim working, and do we want to increase that time frame, and then what would be our next steps? We can talk a little bit more about the items that were included in the packet too. So there was an updated position description in there. There were some changes that were provided through the Police and Fire Commission, and I know Chairman Baker is here tonight too. But some major highlights of that is that PFC did ask that it would require 5 years of experience, that a minimum of basic, EMT basic, and advisable that motor pump operator would be added to certifications for the position description. We included a current chain of command for the fire department. Chief Keen is here tonight too. I think he also just wanted to bring to attention that there's vacancies on the chart. I think we're at 19 members as of today. Is that right, Chief?
That is correct.
Yep. So then, in addition to the position description, because I know the last time we talked about it, it was asked about putting some percentages of how, what are the higher percentages of items that that person is doing. So then we did the hourly breakdown to kind of give it as a 40-hour work week, how that would look. I do have the results from calling as many as and emailing as many. We emailed way more, but this is the information that we got back from the variety of municipalities. I will say that we most heavily focused on those that were around 3,000 in population, because we're around 3,000 in population. Then I included two like reference pieces. One is from the Wisconsin Fire Service Handbook that just talks about responsibilities of fire departments and fire chiefs. And then one is from Public Health and Safety that talks about requirements for monthly training, vehicle maintenance, those sorts of items. And then there was a good article that was just recently released about the unsustainable model for Wisconsin Fire and EMS. Supervisor Bowman had actually found that article, but I think what was interesting about that is it kind of reaffirmed what we had been doing with our joint effort with ambulance and joining with other municipalities. Then again, that breakdown of September and October timesheets and what that looks like kind of on a monthly schedule. And then tonight I just handed out, just because it was fresh off the presses, was the updated wage information for the state for fire chiefs. I handed this out this past summer for last year for fire chief positions, and it just was recently received as of November 3rd.
I suppose before we start discussion, we have to have a motion, right?
Well, I mean, I guess if somebody wants to make a motion, otherwise, if you have questions for Jamie or for Chief or anything else, you could certainly ask that as well. I think, as was mentioned, there's a couple different pieces, kind of moving parts to this. So if you need to kind of clarify that information or desire to do so before you make a motion, that's certainly.
Yeah, we don't have a proposal yet to make a motion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that you can't make a motion,
Yeah.
just
Mr.
may want to
Chairman,
have more.
if I may, I'd like to ask the chief, looking at his time tickets, I see he's averaging about 36 and a half hours a week working on an interim basis. You have thoughts about working on an interim basis versus full-time?
Do you want to just come up to the mic, Chief, just so people can see you on the camera and hear you? Would you just push that button just to, I know that they probably could hear you without pushing the button.
Not on? We plug it in the wrong output, maybe?
That works. I think it's demonstrated itself over the past 4 months that you can't run this department at 25 hours a week. I don't believe there's a week in my time records in the last 4 months that represents 25 hours. And this job is very unschedulable. The expectations are to be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for whatever happens. If you look at that sheet, there's a couple of weeks straight where it wasn't an all-day event, but I had to do something every day for 2 or 3 weeks straight. And there's a price for readiness. And that has to be equated into that. Because we can't schedule this between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. And to be able to have that, to get your work done and then still be ready to go to a call. Just a very recent example, last night we finished training at 9 o'clock. I went home, took my boots off, sat down in a chair, pager went off. Up, boots back on, back out the door again. And it's not often that you get home and spend a half an hour, but you have to be ready to go. And somebody needs somebody, whether it's me or somebody else that you hire in that position, needs to have that available to them and be able to be compensated fairly for it.
Because we don't have an assistant chief staffed now, I see.
Correct. We have 2 division chiefs.
So is it your thought that you would respond to practically every call? Or are you dividing that up amongst the 3 of you? How's that working?
Both of the division chiefs work a full-time job outside of town. So depending on their scheduling, whether they're available or not, and it is in the proposed job description to make as many calls as possible. So currently I am trying to respond to as many calls as possible. In the last 2 months, there was 61 calls, and out of those 61, I made 48.
A lot of those calls are EMS, correct?
Correct. They are a lot of EMS, and that will be making some changes at the first of the year.
Yeah, okay. That was my next question.
There is, but there's a lot of things going undone for the fire department. We haven't been able to get our Lexapol policies implemented. There's just not enough time in the day. And what we were doing before with the former chief in that spot and myself as one of the division chiefs, still putting in approximately 20 hours a week in that position. Nobody took my division chief spot, so that work compounds up. We've lost a lot of help in the past few months, and everything that they did on a weekly basis, their truck inspections and everything, still has to be done. We still have to meet our requirements, and if I can't get somebody else to volunteer to take care of it, I have to do it, just so it gets done, so we stay compliant.
But even after January 1, you will still be the backup in case that ambulance is out on a call and another call
Correct.
comes in.
Correct. We're working through a policy with Lifestar right now on what will be expected from our emergency medical responder staff and our fire department staff as they respond to calls. As recently as 45 minutes ago, we got a email from Michael from Kruger from Lifestar with the first outline of, this is what 100% of the time when this call comes out, we want you here. And so it's going to be a work in process as we go through this. We had some adjustments when Nakusa moved into town the first time. And this one's going to be even a little bit more of an adjustment, having the full-time staff there. Still need to be ready.
Nope.
Were you able to read that article that Dan Goldman had sent out?
Yeah, that article's been all over the internet for the past couple weeks.
It does define some of the problems you face, with the volunteer fire department. But who does all the recruiting? Is that part of your job, or
it is part of my job? We've ramped up our recruiting efforts very recently. Next Wednesday night we have a recruitment open house scheduled during our regular training time. We're going to have some displays set up with some of our medical stuff, some of our fire stuff, and just trying to actively recruit. Our town demographics don't lie very well into putting folks that are still in their prime physical point of their life, to come out here and put in stuff. I talk to people on a regular basis. I was handing out business cards at the Halloween trick or treat with people coming through. They'd ask questions, call me. Last night I met with Cody from the water utility. A new fresh face in town. He's going to come and see us, see what we can put together. I've worked on Jamie's significant other. Can't get him to shave.
It's not gonna shave.
Is there something that the board can do in terms of recognition of both the police and EMS to help you recruit, or anything we can do in the recruiting area to help you?
I think at this point it's a word of mouth thing. We don't have a high school system here in town to draw off of, to draw young people. I don't have a number. I can't pretend to make up a number. But how many kids in this town that graduate from high school, that stay in town and don't leave and go off to further education, and then if they come back to town from their further education, they're not working in the area. They're still working in Wausau or Stevens Point or something like that, and they're out of that area. And then we had a batch of younger folks, and then they started families. And now you've got a 2-year-old at home, and you don't have time to be able to devote to the fire department. This is a huge time commitment that I don't think a lot of people don't realize how much time the volunteer side of this has to put into to make it all work. To hit your fire 1 ratings right now, it is about 120 hours of school time just to hit your fire 1 rating. And they're going to raise EMR up to 115 or 120 hours in the next year. It's a huge commitment, and all we can do is, we talk as well about our department as we can. Work hard with our neighboring departments, because we need each other. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I don't think there's one volunteer or paid on call department in this area that could handle a major fire on their own right now. It has to be aid coming in from every direction.
Picking up on what Bob was saying too, for this training and all that, we do cover all those costs and expenses.
We do cover the expenses. We currently pay for the training. And a lot of the fire training comes out of our 2% dues, the money that we get back from the state for people's homeowners insurance. And then when they complete that class and come back with that certificate of completion, then we pay them for their hours that they put in. Although we found in the past that we were paying out hours for 120 hour class, they'd get to 110 hours and not finish, and we'd have all that money wrapped into it and not get anything out of it.
I appreciated your schedule that you turned in for the 2 months there. It was
Could we
kind of an eye-opener.
perhaps go to the Nacusa School District and ask for an audience over there, and
We can,
a
but
presentation?
the Nacusa Fire Department's right down the street.
Yeah.
We have to watch where we step. We could probably try to get a list from them of who's residing in Rome, who's got an address here in Rome, and focus that. I am not willing to go step on the Nacusa Fire Department's toes in their high school, which I understand is funded heavily from here.
We all have Nacusa addresses though, so.
I understand, but by road names, I can tell you which ones are in Nacusa and which ones are in Rome.
We've also talked about doing some, like 1-pagers that would focus on different members and sort of share why they're in the fire department, what they enjoy about it, what got them to join the fire department. So sometimes I think it's, people don't know all of the opportunities that could be within. Like maybe you could do fire inspections, or maybe you do wildland fires, or maybe you're just an EMR. Like there's a variety of opportunities.
There's no
within.
just EMR.
Yeah, I caught that.
But
I've worked on Jamie too.
no. I know to make sure the scene is safe and to call 911.
Yeah, Jamie, Nick, and Eric would be a good team right there.
Oh, you got roped into this too now.
Well, personally,
It's 15 miles to the town border.
I think this needs to be a full-time position. And again, I think a fire district is not too far down the road.
I agree 100%. That conversation should probably hold off until we get our ambulance stuff completely on the ground and running.
That's why I put down the road.
Yes.
That's the next step after we get EMS district up and running.
And there's been some conversations. Just so we don't go into that fire district conversation thinking we're going to save money.
No, you're not.
We're not going to.
No, but you got some additional sources for manpower.
Correct. Yep.
Help.
Well, down the road, you might save money in future years.
Correct. But
Not
for the
initially.
first few years, there's not going to be any savings.
You gotta get over the turf wars first.
Turf wars will definitely be an issue. That was some of the issue that came around when this discussion was had a year and a half ago. I think if we take a little softer approach and maybe limit the area somewhere and get it started and then look at making it bigger, might be a better way to go with that.
I agree.
I had a couple questions on some of the notes here on page 47. Let's see, who was it here? about maintaining equipment, it said EMS equipment. Now that's referring to Rome's EMS equipment, right?
Correct.
Nothing to do with Lifestar.
Like our life pack.
Yeah, our life packs, our AEDs, our oxygen delivery systems, the right all the way to the truck that hauls it around.
And can't even read my own writing here.
I have that problem too.
Well, I would say too, in the future, if you can think of anything you want the board to help you with, please don't hesitate to ask one of us or all of us.
I appreciate that.
I'm thinking we gotta spend some time on recruitment, because it's, again, reading that article and just in general knowledge, that they are having issues getting folks into, for volunteer. It is a, very worthwhile, but it's, I understand it's tough getting people in there. It's, you read about time constraints and everything else that they're having issues with, and
Yeah, but for a young high schooler who's not going to college and is graduating around here, might be a career path.
It is,
for them.
and we had a few of them in the past year, and one of them opted to go into National Guard. So we actually have him on leave, because he went for fire training in the National Guard. If he comes back and settles in the area, we want to be able to put him right back into his spot. And that would be great. The second one we had ended up moving to a place where he could afford to live a little bit easier. He moved to Grand Marsh instead of living in Rome. What can you do?
Yep.
Chief, I would say there is a second high school in the area.
There is.
I know most of my students tend to go on to college, but nonetheless, please reach out to our guidance counselor at Assumption.
And it's real easy to
Is it about
leave
25
Assumption
families?
out.
Yeah, because there's about 25 families that live out here in Rome.
I understand, and I will take that under advisement. And actually, it's as soon as you started to say that, the light bulb went on. Thank you very much.
Does our Police and Fire Commission have any recommendation on full-time, part-time?
Based on what I saw with George and with John Franz before that, and with what Mark's been up to since he was named interim chief, I would suggest a full-time position.
I'll make a motion that we make the fire chief a full-time position.
The interim, or do we want to handle the interim and then talk about recruitment? Okay,
I think it should be two separate issues
okay. So is your motion for interim or full-time?
for full-time.
Or I'm sorry.
So-
Interim or recruitment?
Recruitment.
Well,
You
the
can do both
position
separate.
now is part-time.
Part-time.
And my motion is to make that position full-time.
To make the interim fire chief
A full-time.
a full-time.
With that though, if I could, I believe we have the current position as salary with a certain amount, is that correct?
Yes, it's essentially half of the current wage.
Okay,
Well,
and
that,
so,
you want that as the same motion? I was gonna make that as a separate motion.
If you want
First,
to
we
make
gotta
it as a
talk about
separate motion.
recruitment after we decide this position is
well,
full-time.
yeah, but I'm saying with the interim, if you're saying interim's going to be full-time, do we need to adjust that pay, because it is salary, it's a set amount right now.
But isn't that two
regard-
positions, fire chief and a full-time fire chief?
No,
Interim, part-time, interim,
Interim is
full-time.
in the interim,
Yeah.
So we're talking part-time versus full-time. The interim, right now we have an interim fire chief that's providing us the fire chief services in the interim before we recruit and
Well, it could be both.
put in place a permanent fire chief. So interim to me is during the interim, we have a fire chief. And so that's why when it was asked if we're talking full-time interim or full-time recruitment, that's those two separate points in time.
Okay, I'll change my motion to say my motion is to make the interim fire chief a full-time position.
That's what I had. Okay.
If we want to add recruitment to it, I would, as part of that motion, say that we would promote our interim fire chief to a full-time position, current interim fire chief.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
I don't think we need to go out for, bring somebody in from the outside or start recruiting out there. We have somebody that's capable and talented, that knows the town, and bring a stranger in here, they're gonna be lost for a while, and then you got turmoil within the volunteer fire department, that creates problems.
And let's just, again, talk a little bit about, before we act on that motion, a little bit about how the process goes. So the Police and Fire Commission actually does the recruitment and that appointment of the fire chief.
Correct.
The fire chief then, reports to the town administrator, but also provides reports to the PFC. So, you guys can set if the position's full-time, part-time, three-quarter time, those things, but the actual person will be selected by the
Okay.
PFC.
So, retract my motion to include just the interim fire chief position will be full-time.
And that would be at the established 2021 wage.
For now, yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'll second it.
To be
Again.
negotiated.
Any further discussion? We're in discussion, so, and the information I've seen in recently especially, I think it's well deserving of a full-time. I see the information, it does support all of it, so I'm in agreement, so. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
And so then, police and fire commission will do the, actually recruitment for that position.
I think the next step would be then that Mike and I would have a meeting and we would put together a recruitment plan and we would provide what that recruitment plan would look like to the board, but it'll be, PFC will actually do that process.
For purposes of minutes, because I heard references to interim and recruitment. What I heard that final motion to be was interim. And so if you're now saying that the recruitment for the permanent fire chief would be full-time, I think you're going to need that in the motion as well.
Second motion.
Want me to revise it another time?
No,
you're not
new
revising
motion,
the
new
You have
motion.
a new motion. You have a motion that carries, so now you can make another motion. But what I was saying is that I heard the motion that passed was for interim. And so
Correct.
now if somebody has the position that the permanent fire chief, the one that's going to be recruited for and go to PFC, would be full-time, I think you need to reflect that in the motion.
All right, go ahead, Jerry.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we recruit for a full-time fire chief to be handled by PFC.
Second that.
Any discussion?
Is there any discussion from the audience? I just wanna make sure.
It's not allowed according to rules, right? Once we go into discussion, we're not supposed to allow them.
You've allowed it before, Carl.
I know, but it,
You could, Robert's
can-
rules says once you have a motion and a second, that the discussion is with the board. You can decide to waive Robert's rules and allow the public to speak if
Okay.
you'd like to.
I'll waive the rules. Go ahead, Lloyd.
Thank you.
I know we've done it in the past, but I read it again, and said that's what the rules are.
You'll be surprised, I can fully support a full-time fire chief. I don't have the privilege, I'm not a board member to see what the activities have been, but I've served many, many years here. The question I had is if any consideration was given to the chart you received. A number of these communities that are larger and smaller have higher valuations and lower population than ours. EMS is not included, and our total number of calls after we do have our EMS district will take care of some of those responsibilities. My question would be is that in the past, the fire chief has had to have a 4-year degree. The salary you're providing the fire chief, which in the new job description does not have any degree at all, not even an associate's degree requirement. So is the job description created to post out to, yeah, I'm not saying Mark's not talented or what his abilities are, but to actually post that, 5 years of experience without any degree for the salary you're paying. And if you're considering a fire district down the road, wouldn't the thought be, why is there a rush then? If you could have a fire district, Mark or whoever they hire, the PFC would hire, could definitely be in charge of that fire district. But if you hire somebody full-time now and you look at a fire district, is someone gonna lose their job? Who's that fire chief gonna be? The next logical neighbor is Big Flats. They have a very solid department as well, very capable fire chief. So maybe you're jumping the gun, and maybe what's the rush? If he's an interim, add a few more hours. But I just wanted to simply say I could support that too. I'm just surprised that there's no degree. And I think that if you're considering a fire district down the road, like an EMS district, again, use our neighbors to the south who have a fire district and successfully done that. A number of the people on the list that you were provided have fire districts with as many as 11 municipalities with no full-time fire chief. Of the list you have, there's only 4 full-time fire chiefs on there. And I'm just saying again, you maybe want to, what's the rush? Maybe do it right. And if there's a fire district in your minds, think about what might happen to the morale that you're paying people to train and learn and be our servants in this community and help people. How's that going to affect them then if their chief is gone? So that's just another consideration. Thank you.
I just want to point out that the previous position description was from 17, and that required an associate's degree. It did not require a bachelor's degree. An associate's degree in fire science or was Wisconsin certification as a fire officer. It also had a minimum that you were an EMR, a valid Wisconsin driver's license, at least 5 years of experience in a rank of captain or higher, and significant leadership in volunteer organizations. So it's slightly revised, and we can continue to revise that. I mean, at this point, what you've said is that you want it to be full-time. The position description could still certainly be revised. If you felt strongly about a bachelor's degree, then that could be added, or other things that you felt strongly about could certainly be added. You also could say, you have the interim, would they be comfortable why we explored that fire district piece? I mean, at this point, what you've said is that when recruitment is completed, that it would be full-time.
After the meeting we had about the fire district, I don't see that being a near-term thing at all. That's gonna be down the road, a long way down the road, in my opinion.
I think in a larger scope, yes. Maybe in a smaller scope, it could be shorter term.
Yeah, the EMS district is a stepping stone for that. You got those 3 communities working together already. And Big Flats has got issues in their fire department, I know that. They've had, they still do, don't they, Mark?
Every department has issues.
Well, okay.
I wouldn't restrict a position description to require a bachelor's degree or an associate degree. I mean, it could be either or, as long as we have a person there with experience.
And the qualifications.
Right.
Does the board come up with those requirements, or is that the police fire commission? Do they handle it as well? Both.
Both. I mean, you both review the position description, you both would can provide recommendation. And that, we had a separate meeting with the secretary and chairman of the PSC. But, and again, tonight you made the decision that you would recruit for full-time. If you wanted to think further, I mean, do a further deep dive into position description, you certainly can do that too. You could have a joint meeting with the PSC.
I think maybe we ought to meet with them just to make sure we're all in agreement on qualifications. I don't have a problem.
We have the PSC for a reason, we should let them
Right.
do their job.
Let's see what they come up with.
Yeah, I just,
If we decided it's gonna be full-time, if we pass the motion,
yeah.
then turn it over to them and let them take it from there.
I'd like to hear their comments though on, you know, some of the different requirements. I don't have a problem with that, really. I suppose I could attend their meetings.
Certainly. Why don't Mike and I have a conversation about what a plan might look like, or potential changes to position description, and we would bring that back to a future meeting. I think PSC meets in December now, right? Not
Yes.
that a special meeting couldn't be called, but the
Correct.
next meeting's
Yep.
December. Okay.
I think that's a good idea.
Anything else on number 12?
Do you have a motion on the
Yeah, I
floor?
was
Yeah, I
gonna
don't know if we
say.
added on
Oh, we're
that
still
motion.
sitting there, huh?
You
Motion
did
and a
not.
second?
Yes.
And any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Number 13, discussion and possible action, review of 2022 Wellness Incentive Program Plan outline.
So included in the packet was a wellness plan outline. We don't have to go through it slide by slide tonight, but after our conversation through the budget process, it was discussed that you wanted to see this a little bit more flourished out. So the wellness incentive would be a point system, would be a 30-point system that we would have employees participate in a variety of different activities. They are divided on a quarterly focus with a focus for each one of those quarters that we would have speakers or competitions, challenges. Again, all employees can participate in this, but the wellness incentive would be for those employees that are part of our health plan. So if we have a week challenge where you track your steps, and maybe we have small fun little prizes for those that have the most steps in the week, any employee can do that, but those that are on the health plan would be provided points for that, and they'd have to accumulate 30 points in a year.
And they would get a discount on their insurance if they participate.
They get the
correct?
wellness incentive. So the wellness incentive would be determined on an annual basis after this, but we have a wellness incentive for a family plan and for a single plan. And then we have a choice of it can be a taxable payment, or it could go into your HSA, your established health savings account with the town. I didn't know if there was any other additional questions on the information that was provided. I do have also in here that because we're on the state health program, we also are part of the Well Wisconsin program. And if you do the Well Wisconsin program where you log into the state site, you submit your health assessment, your health check, and your well-being activities, then the state provides you a $150 gift card. That isn't provided by the town, but if you report it to the town that you completed one or all three of those activities, you would get points in our wellness program for that. And there would be, it's mentioned on one of the slides, but there would be a wellness committee. That wellness committee would just be internally, just staff. Myself, Brad has volunteered from Public Works. We would ask if there were others that would want to participate, and they would just help to coordinate speakers or activities. Another way, and again, if you were on the committee, you'd probably get a point for being a member of the wellness committee.
I was missing that in here. What's the overall cost on that?
You know, I'd have to look back in budget. We put it into separate budgets. When we did it, it's accounted for in all of the department budgets.
Didn't tell me what it's approximate cost. I'm just trying to get a rough idea.
Let me just go to my.
I've dealt with these before in the past in public sector. They do work, by the way. Not 100%, but they do work.
So, what we had discussed was a wellness incentive for a family plan would be $3,200 a year, and for a single would be $1,200 a year. If accomplishing the 30 points, and again, it's a mix between family and single plans in the town, but we have about between 19 and 20 people that participate in the insurance.
And it says discussion of possible action, but we approved this in the budget already, right?
We did approve the cost in the budget. This was really just because the board had asked to see a plan. If there'd be any motion tonight, I think you would just say that you accept the 2022 program for the wellness incentive.
Yeah.
Okay, I move that we accept the 2022 wellness program as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Number 14, discussion and possible action, the process timeline for considering receipt of offers to purchase for 2.270 acres of town-owned property in the town of Rome, described as Section 22, Township 20 North, Range 5 East, Lot 1 of Certified Survey Map 5984, Town of Rome, Adams County, Wisconsin, with a property identification number of 030-01613-0000.
Okay, this relates to that 2.27 acre parcel on 16th and Apache. At the October 28th elector meeting, the town board did receive authorization to dispose of that real property. Along with the authorization received to dispose of the real property, there was some discussion, and it was actually as part of their motion, but an advisory part of their motion to recommend that the disposal of the property be by bid and reviewed at a town meeting or a town board, future town board meeting. So you have now received the authorization to dispose of the property. The means at which you do that is yours to make and decide, and ultimately the decision to sell the property would be yours to decide. You've been granted the authorization by the electors to dispose of the property. So I believe the reason that this is on the agenda is so you can start to have that conversation. If you do want to proceed with disposing the property, how you want to do that, set a timeline, kind of the next steps really in considering how to dispose of the property.
Gentlemen?
Why don't we have the town administrator set up a timeline and a bid process and submit it to the board in the next meeting or whatever?
At a future meeting, probably not the next one, that's 2
Yeah.
weeks away.
I'm in favor of a bid, but I'd like to see a minimum in there too, so we don't get undercut, and maybe the minimum tied into some kind of appraised value.
So one of the options, well, we did something similar as we worked through the process with that water utility property a couple years ago. One of the other options, and I believe it's utilized by a number of certainly counties, is to just utilize Wisconsin surplus. You can still put in there that the ultimate decision would have to be reviewed by you all, but that would be a pretty open process to receive bids. You'd have to put together the actual kind of like the posting of it, but then the bidding itself would be through Wisconsin surplus. And I believe we've had pretty good success, and certainly the prices have been considerable on Wisconsin surplus over the last year.
Does that also get notified locally?
Or you can notify it, you can post notifications and links to that certainly from your website.
But do they post it? Is it posted here locally in our normal locations?
It's not placed on posting boards, but we could do that as part of this, just put it on the posting boards or put a link of it off the website. But if Wisconsin surplus would be a much broader audience, because it's
Yeah.
not just the state, but it's lots of people that are on, part of that website. We would just have to put a link to it. But you do have to create, if you go to bid on it, you do have to create an account. But you could set a minimum bid, so there'd be no, if you determined a minimum bid, a minimum price for that land, there'd be no way that it would go for less than that. The bid would be rejected.
Well, and with real property, how you'll typically see it on Wisconsin surplus is that it's still, the final approval still has to be with the board. So the bid would be received, it would just sit as pending until you all reviewed that bid and authorized or rejected. And so that would go in line, Mr. Chairman, with your desire to set that minimum. That's really what you're doing. I mean, you're not necessarily setting the reserve as much as having the final approval. I mean, if you feel like that is too low, you would just reject that and it would go unsold.
What's their fee on that? You know?
They charge a fee to the bidders. I don't believe
We
they
don't-
charge a fee to the
No.
municipal.
Oh, really?
It's
Yeah.
10% to the bidders.
Yep.
There is a fee to the bidders.
And I believe the minimum is shown on the posting, so everybody knows before they put a bid in what the minimum is.
I would say with the other items we've put on Wisconsin surplus, we've done well.
Very well.
And can we just disclose the amount of the current bid that we have or not?
the amount, you're saying disclose the amount of the bid that we've received
Right.
from one person?
Right.
I don't know that you would necessarily do that, you just,
No.
that person
No,
would have the
tonight,
opportunity
here.
just the same as anyone. What's that?
Here, tonight.
I don't think you want to disclose
Okay,
it.
that's fine, I just was asking.
If we're gonna go the bid process, we should just open it up and forget about it.
Okay.
If you wanna bid again, price, they can do that. I agree that surplus is the way to go, a lot easier. I'll make a motion that we just, sell the property at 2.27 acres on, whatever road that's on,
16th of Patch.
16th and Patchy, I guess there's no address for it, by using, Wisconsin surplus auction site.
Do you wanna set a minimum?
I think we need to find out some kind of
Do we have
appraisal.
appraised value on it? Does it show on there, on the map, assessment on it?
I don't know if I'd use the assessment anymore.
Well, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
It's usually a pretty good guideline.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
But you can try. You should.
Yeah, no, cause it's owned by the town.
Oh, that's right, then there would be no assessment.
I think if you, is there a number in our assessment book though? Do they still assign a number in our assessment book?
Lori?
I have no idea. She could go back to the last tax year that it was on the Adams County Board just prior to them taking control of it. The last tax, that'll give you some idea.
Well, part of the other difficulty would be that in this case, I mean, there's also the amount that the town had into the
Incurred.
property. Yeah, which
For
is,
raising fees and everything else.
yeah, and I do have that. 8240, was the amount, it'd be less, so it was just under $8,000
Yeah.
that special charge was. But again, any bid received would have to be reviewed by you, and we would put that in the posting. And so you could have a high bid of $3,000, or you could have a high bid of $30,000. That would still have to come to you to make it, to approve it one way or the other.
Yeah, I'd still want a basis, so I have no idea evaluation what it is.
Well, you'll need, my point is, you'll need that for that meeting,
Yes.
but I don't know that you need to set a reserve necessarily on this. It can go for whatever it goes for. It's still your decision on whether to sell it, and what, at the point that will come to you, then you would want that information. So it would give a little bit of time to put that together, and then get that information to you. I agree, you'd want to have that information, but I don't know that you need to set that reserve today.
Okay.
You can send it to Wisconsin Surplus, get whatever bid, we'll put a disclaimer in there that the final approval is with the board. I can assist the administrator in putting that description together, we'll put that as a contingency, and so then it will go to you. You'll make that final decision to sell or not sell, once you get the bids in.
Otherwise, you could look at the assessed value on adjoining properties too.
I did, it looks like, 2017, it showed an estimated fair market value of 13,300 at that point
For the land,
for the land.
I
That
was gonna
was,
say, it should be someplace in that area. You don't get much for less than 6,000 or 7,000.
yeah, that's assessed value of land.
We did a motion, right, in second? How's that?
We haven't seconded it yet. I was waiting to decide if we're gonna put a
Jerry
value
just
on
said
it.
a motion.
Okay. So we have a motion.
Do we wanna put a value on
I'd
Or
hold
or a
off.
starting bid, you could just set a starting bid.
Well, okay, if you got one in mind, it makes,
it? With a starting bid of 14,000.
A starting bid of 14?
Okay, got it.
you just modify his motion?
Was my motion, wasn't
Oh,
It was Jerry's motion.
your motion. Okay,
it? I modified mine. I
I
hadn't
will second
finished.
it again.
all right.
I was waiting to find out if we're gonna put a minimum bid on it.
And Bob just seconded it.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Dates and items for future agenda and meetings. Number 15, next agenda items.
Jamie takes care of that.
Yep. Anybody have anything you want to add to it? I think we ought to start looking at helping the fire department out, see if we can come up with some ideas for recruitment. Maybe not next meeting, but think about, chew on it for a while and come back and think outside the box, see what we can do. They do need help.
Yeah, if nothing else.
We don't have age requirements.
1, 2,
Careful.
3.
All right, next meeting date and time?
Is going to be Thursday, November 18th, 5 o'clock. Is that Thursday, November 18th working schedules? I know we're getting close to holidays and we're getting close to the holiday of deer season. Just want to make sure.
That's the Thursday before opening weekend.
You guys don't leave till deer camp for the next morning usually, but some might leave Thursday night.
Okay.
That sounds good. Can I get a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
Second it.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Town of Rome Board agenda meeting to order for Thursday, November 18th, 2021. Can I get a roll call, starting from my left?
Weisinger here.
Minter here.
Asdo here.
Goldman here.
Bauer Height here.
Number 3, can we get certification of the posting of the meeting, please?
I certify that on Friday, November 12th, 2021, the agenda for the Town of Rome Board meeting for Thursday, November 18th, 2021 was emailed to the Wisconsin Rapids Tribune at 3 p.m., posted at Rome Town Hall at 2:40 p.m., at Fritzl's Trading Post at 4 p.m., and Nakusa Port Edwards State Bank at 4:05 p.m.
Thank you. Number 4, can we get a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Number 5, please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Number 6, citizen comments. During the citizen comment period of the agenda, the town board welcomes comments from any town resident, not a member of the town board, on any item not on the agenda. Please know that pursuant to state law, the board cannot engage in conversation with you, but may ask questions. The board may refer the item to staff, a standing committee, or a future board agenda for discussion and action. Each person wishing to speak will have up to 3 minutes to speak. Speakers are asked to submit a card to the clerk treasurer, providing their name, address, and topic for discussion. The board will also take comment from the public on agenda items as called by the chair, but not during the citizen comment. Please note that once the board begins discussion on an agenda item, no further comment will be allowed from the public on that issue. I understand we have one person here who'd like to make comment. Please, sir, stand to the lectern and name, address, and topic.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Rob Sigler. I'm president of Nakusa Port Edwards State Bank, and I'm representing the bank as a function of the town of Rome here. I appreciate your time. I'm going to keep it short. You have a full agenda here. And I have a couple words to say. I'm well aware of your upcoming closed session, and I thought this might be the right time to bring that up with regards to Sand Valley. Nakusa Bank is heavily involved with the project and wants the board to know that the request is imperative and critical in allowing the project to move forward under the current plan. And timing is critical. As I am sure you are all very proud to have Sand Valley and the Kaiser family continuing to pump capital and conservancy into our community. Working with them today will only help in maintaining that momentum. This project or their request is certainly beneficial to the town of Rome, and it's at no cost to the town of Rome. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for the time.
That was an item on the agenda, but since it's not, we're in a closed session.
He has a meeting he has to go to, so.
Yeah, that's fine. We're good. Okay, no action contemplated except possible referral to future agenda. Number 7, information updates, meeting recaps, recent correspondence, current events, announcements. Jerry, would you like to start?
I have nothing.
All I have to report from library board meeting last Friday is that the Leicester Library is partnering with the Adams Library, and they put in an application to the state to fund a really nice looking bookmobile. Adams will maintain the bookmobile, we might have to provide some staff time, but they'll maintain it, they'll gas it, they'll repair it, they'll insure it. We just have to have people help out, and so hopefully they'll find out at an upcoming, who knows when, on whatever plan the state is on, that they might get a fully funded or fully purchased bookmobile.
I have nothing.
I have nothing.
I have nothing.
Jamie?
I have three items. First, at your place tonight was a 2020 versus 2021 transfer site tippage comparison. This had come up in a previous meeting just to have an idea of what potential cost savings were with us purchasing our own dumpsters and the enforcement pieces that we've done at the transfer site. After review of this, we want to have a larger discussion at a future meeting, but it does reflect, even with the price increase, which dumpsters, the cost, before we had our own to travel back and forth to Adams County to the landfill went up $48.48. We're still having a savings at this moment of $8,300. So, again, I have it noted about that cost increase because it's hard to accompany that into your numbers to take that as a true savings, but even with that cost increase, we have an $8,000 savings. I also wanted to just point out, Supervisor Minter also emailed this to me, but there was a really nice ad from Lifestar in the Rambler that just said thank you to the 3 towns. So I just wanted, if you haven't seen it, it was a nice piece that Lifestar did to say thank you. And lastly, if you didn't see already, we do have the notices for the spring election on the website, for the town, for the county, and for the school district. If you're interested in running for office, you would come to the town for the town board, the county clerk's office for the county, or the school district office for the school board, but all of that information is located on our homepage right now.
I have one thing. You have the details on the craft fair that's going this Saturday, right?
Yep, craft fair is day after tomorrow, Saturday, 9 to 3 here at Town Hall.
Anything else? Thank you. Number 8, department and committee reports. Any updates?
Only if there would be questions on what was in the packet.
Discuss and possible action on the following items. Number 9, discussion and action approval of the November 4th, 2021 meeting minutes.
I move to approve the meeting minutes for November the 4th.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Number 10, discussion and possible action, approval of ordinance number 21 recommendations from the Plan Commission on consideration of the proposed comprehensive plan map 9 amendment from forestry to outdoor recreation and proposed zoning map amendment from FR forest and outdoor recreation to PUD planned unit development district relating to the property owned by Wisconsin Dunes LLC, described as parcel numbers 030-00327-0000, 030-00328-0000, 030-00330-0000, and 030-00331-0000, and 030-00332-000, 030-00333, 030-030-00335-0000. All parcels also described as part of Section 26, Town 20 North, Range 5 East, Town of Rome, Adams County, Wisconsin. Total area 280 acres.
I can just give a general update for those that are watching as well as those that are not on the plan commission. So this item does relate to that, as was stated, the 280 acre area. It's located at the northwest corner of the Sand Valley Golf Course area, or golf area. And the applicants are seeking to amend that comp plan from forestry to outdoor recreation and rezone that area from FR, forest and outdoor recreation, to PUD. The applicants also, for the next agenda item, are seeking to revise that project plan for the PUD. Adding Exhibit 2 is in your packet, and reflecting an additional golf course and residential development. Just a general note that these items were considered by the Plan Commission at its November 9th meeting, where a public hearing was held on each of those two items, after which the Plan Commission recommended approval of the comprehensive plan amendment, the rezone, and the PUD project plan amendment.
I think it was also worth noting that these properties they're planning to develop are, what, 4 to 5 plus acres, right?
Yes.
What they said. I make a motion to approve the comprehensive plan map amendment based on recommendation from the Plan Commission.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Number 11, discussion and possible action. Recommendation from the Plan Commission on consideration of the proposed planned unit development project plan amendment relating to property owned by Wisconsin Dunes LLC, Sand Valley Golf Course. Revised site plan to add a golf course, a residential subdivision to include rental homes and estate lots, and expanding the existing driving range.
I'll make a motion that we approve the recommendation from the Plan Commission for the revised site plan.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
The only thing I would point out with the amendment to the PUD plan is that the entry to that housing that will be developed will all come off of the existing entry into Sand Valley. So there won't be an entry or means in which to get in off of 16th. It'll all pull in off of Archer. I know that was a question with that additional housing being developed at Plan Commission.
Thank you. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Number 12, discussion and possible action, approval of ordinance number 21-, recommendation from the Plan Commission on consideration of the proposed comprehensive plan map 9, amendment from forestry to rural residential, and zoning map amendment from FR, forest and outdoor recreation, to R5, rural estate residence district, relating to the property owned by Gregory Meinholz, described as follows: parcels number 030-00613-0000, also described as the northeast 1/4, southeast 1/4, section 6, town 20 north, range 6 east, town of Rome, Adams County, Wisconsin, total area 40 acres.
Just a couple general comments, if I may. The item, as was read, relates to a comprehensive plan amendment as well as a rezone to a 40-acre parcel. The comp plan amendment would be from the forestry to rural residential. The rezone is from FR to R5, rural estate residence. For that 40-acre parcel, the applicant that owns the parcel is planning on building a home and personal storage on the property. It is, all 40 acres is owned by one person, and it's not planned to be subdivided in any way.
In whole,
And just as I stated on the last one, this item did go to the Plan Commission at its November 9th, 2021 meeting. Public hearing was held, after which a recommendation was made by the Plan Commission to approve both the comp plan amendment and the rezoning.
Property owner also indicated that they had a desire to maintain the ATV, UTV trails that are currently a part of that property.
And snowmobile trail.
Yes. Yep, thank you.
Motion to approve the recommendation of the Plan Commission on the comp plan map amendment and rezone.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Number 13, discussion and possible action, approval of ordinance number 21 recommendation from the Plan Commission on consideration of the proposed comprehensive plan map 9 amendment from forestry to rural residential and proposed zoning map amendment from FR Forest and Outdoor Recreation to R4 Rural Residence District relating to the property owned by Timberland Investment Resources LLC, described as parcel number 030-00557-0000, also described as the northeast 1/4, southeast 1/4, section 4, town 20 north, range 6 east, town of Rome, Adams County, Wisconsin, total area 40 acres.
Okay, just a few general comments as well as a report from the Plan Commission. So this item is a request to amend that comp plan and rezone a 40-acre parcel. The applicant proposes amending the comp plan from forestry to rural residential and to rezone that parcel from FR, Forest and Outdoor Recreation, to R4. The applicant also proposed a subdivision of 7 lots on that parcel. The Plan Commission did consider this item at its November 9th, 2021 meeting. A public hearing was held, after which a recommendation was made by the Plan Commission to deny the application.
Motion to approve the Plan Commission recommendation to deny this comp plan amendment and rezone.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, it was just a little bit confusing. Is Timberland Investment Resources the same as secluded land?
Oh,
The
that's same as
Timberland
Meteor.
Investment is the owner of the property. Secluded land is who would be purchasing the property.
I see, okay.
And therefore put the application in for
Okay.
the rezone.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Number 14, discussion and possible action, approval of ordinance number 21 recommendation from the Plan Commission on consideration of amendments to Chapter 320 Streets and Sidewalks and Chapter 360 zoning relating to driveway regulations.
Okay, so this item proposes amendments to 2 different ordinance sections, those being in Chapter 320 and Chapter 360. 360 is our zoning ordinance and why we took this to Plan Commission first. So these amendments relate to driveway standards for private driveways that lead to buildings or structures that are located rather large distances from the roadway. The standards, as was mentioned, are located in those 2 chapters of our ordinances. Both of those read relatively similar, but as they exist today, had a few things that were different. For example, who can request maybe heightened design standards. In one, it was the Public Works Director, in another, it was the Fire Chief. What we're doing here with the language, along with updating our standards, is reconciling those 2 so they are similar and actually they're the same. So there's no difference or confusion between those 2. The Plan Commission did review both of these chapters at their meeting, did make a recommendation after the public hearing to amend the Chapter 360 in the zoning ordinance, those amendments. So the purpose of this language is to ensure that the emergency vehicles can safely access the property and structures in the event of an emergency. The existing language had standards for 200 feet or greater, that required clearing width, cul-de-sac, turnaround as the stated specifically as the turnaround, so it was a cul-de-sac. You'll see in the language that is proposed here that we have suggestions for turnaround. Really the goal as being that there is a turnaround rather than what the kind of turnaround is. So the proposed language updates the sections that do the following. It applies first to driveways where it is 500 feet from the road. So again, as it exists today, it applies at 200 feet. This extends that to 500 feet as proposed. It requires a 10-foot surface width clear height and 14-foot clear width. It requires a turnaround no more than 75 feet from the structure with a exhibit or attachment to the ordinance of different types or styles of turnarounds, and you have that, I believe, in your packet. And then it requires a review and approval of the driveway permit by the fire chief as a means to ensure that there is going to be sufficient clearing width and really designed for those emergency vehicles. And in the event that there is deemed to be needed heightened design, that can be put in place. It's put in place by the Public Works Director in consultation with the fire chief.
I have one comment about this. I agree with everything that's proposed here, except extending it out to 500 feet. 500 feet, as far as I'm concerned, is too far. Unless we have all professional drivers in those fire trucks, to back a truck out 500 feet, especially if the driveway is not straight all the way, is a challenge, and it's gonna take additional labor to pick up all those hoses. So I think we ought to stay at the 200 feet. I know I discussed it briefly with Interim Chief Kane, and he agreed that, yeah, it's gonna take some additional manpower to do this, and he doesn't have everybody that's qualified to back out that far on some driveways, so I guess I would like to have us reconsider that.
What was the minimum width on a driveway?
So it requires a 10-foot surface with clear height and 14-foot clear width.
Excuse me, Nick, I believe that clear height was supposed to be 14. The 10-foot high would not make, our trucks don't make that, so that might have.
Originally it was 18.
Mhm. Yeah,
Oh, wait, no.
in my notes I had 10 feet, Interim Chief, but I really, it's up to the board. I mean, they can approve as amended and make those dimensions whatever they'd like, so we can. But I had it as 10 feet.
How wide's our equipment?
Truck body is 8'6" wide from outside rails of the body, and then you have the mirrors sticking out. So you're approximately 9'6" to 10 feet wide at the mirrors. But that height restriction, we're sitting at about 11 feet tall right now.
Why do you come up to the mic?
So mirror to mirror, we're just under 10 feet wide, and at height wise, our current trucks are at just over 11 feet tall.
All right, I suppose at this point, we need a motion with qualifications, I guess, if
Yeah,
so desired.
Yep, you can, in your motion, include what you would like further amended on the ordinance language. And then, if that's approved, then I will make those amendments and get it to Amy.
I would make a motion to approve the amendment with a changed, or leave the distance of the length of the driveway to 200 feet and the height to be at 14 feet.
The height is at 14 feet in everything that I'm reading. There's a difference between the width of the surface and then the clear width, which is 10 feet versus 14 feet. But in both of these, the sentence after, it's 14 feet clear height.
I didn't see the clear
You're
height.
right. It's at least 10
Oh, yes,
feet in
okay.
surface width, 14 feet of clear width, and then we didn't adjust the,
Yeah, that's still 14 in there, okay.
thank you.
So the only amendment I'm recommending is 200 feet. Unless there's some strong evidence we should
I'll second it.
be good to the property owners and make it 500, but I think we're gonna pay.
Carl?
Yeah, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Yes,
Can I comment quick on
yes,
that?
please, up there.
Supervisor Wazers? One thing you really might want to consider by going down to 200 feet, there are current lake lots that when that house is built, they're gonna be over 200 feet. They're gonna then be required to have a turnaround. A lot of your lake lots are pretty narrow. And if they're 200 feet off and this turnaround needs to be somewhere around 50 to 75 feet, most of their front yard is gonna have to then be a turnaround.
I don't think we got many lake lots that are over 200 feet deep.
Yeah,
You're talking on the water?
yes. There are existing lake lots on Arrowhead right now that I checked that are over 200 feet, the way their driveway is from the road to the structure. And like I said, just keep in mind, a lot of those lots are narrow, and to have a big enough area to turn around to support a fire truck, road base, it's not gonna just be a grass area, they're gonna want I think what Mark says, an actual surface they can turn around on. Their whole front yard is gonna be,
These are vacant lots you're talking about now? Or lots with homes?
lots with homes on right now.
Wouldn't they be grandfathered in anyway?
They would be, but let's just say they wanna come, right now they have a gravel driveway and they wanna update that to a paved
So that-
driveway.
okay.
They're gonna have to get a permit, and those lots will then be affected by it.
Could an alternative be a wider driveway, 12, 14 feet?
I think that, in general, we should keep it at 200 feet, and you can always make an exception and come back for,
I believe there was a drawing included with this that showed some alternatives to going from that 100-foot diameter to having some turnouts, which would lessen the area needed, because we could be able to make a Y turn instead of actually making a circle.
yeah,
Which would eliminate some of that, those narrow lake lots having to give up their entire piece, their entire front yard, backyard, whichever lake folks like to call it. Some of them like to call the lakeside the front, but there's alternatives to having to have that 100-foot diameter.
yeah, it's only 50 feet it's required for the Y turn.
Right.
And they ought to have at least 50 feet of space, and probably most of them have that type turnaround in front of their garage rather than back all the way to the road.
And then that turn has to be in an area where the fire truck is still in the safe zone. So that turnout area is going to have to end up in a spot at least 1.5 times away, the height of the home away, or if we're in the process of turning around and that building collapses, the home just fell onto the fire truck.
Right. No, I don't think we should be making the exception to 500 feet for a few lots in Arrowhead. I think most of them should be able to give you a 50-foot Y turn area, because we got so many other lots being developed. Some of these subdivisions that are very deep lots are going to have long driveways that, again, if we have a fire, we got to back out of there somehow. That's the challenge. So my motion would be just to make the one exception to the proposal, and that's the 200 feet in place of 500.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I think you do have a motion in a second.
Yeah, yeah. and
Under
Trish,
that same?
It's
Okay.
the same, I think.
Yeah, I
isn't it?
have a motion in a second.
Any further discussion? I guess to Jerry's point too, down the road, you can always make an exception as needed if they wanted to go wider or something along that line, but I agree that, especially get some of these, they start winding back and forth, that could be a major issue.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Number 16, nope, number 15. Discussion and possible action, approval of resolution number 21 approving 2022 wages and per diems for town staff, volunteer firefighters, and committees.
Before you make a motion, we would be looking for a slight amendment to this. I did share on your tables, track changes, small comment under Public Works, adding a snowplow driver for building and grounds operations, and then further clarifying a snowplow driver on town road public right-of-way. our newest vehicle that we purchased to plow roads does not require a CDL. It's a smaller size truck, but can still handle plowing. It was purchased because it's hard to get CDL drivers, and we needed a slightly smaller truck to do some of the cul-de-sacs or closer areas. So we just wanted to further clarify that if you're plowing public right-of-way, you're out on the town roads, you still get that $2 incentive for plowing. But if you're plowing buildings and grounds, parking lots, not things that are in public right-of-way, that it would be the $15.95.
I'm confused. So I would assume it's generally somebody who's already an employee of the Public Works Department that's gonna be doing this?
So if you're a full-time employee, you just make your full-time rate when you plow. These rates are used for part-time employees.
Okay.
Yes.
Can I get a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve the 2022 wages as presented with the amendments that the administrator has made.
I second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Number 16, discussion and possible action, approval of resolution number 21 approving revisions to the Town of Rome fee schedule.
Fee schedule is in the packet. Again, it's in track changes, just to show you where those changes are located. Very minimal track changes this year. Again, the one that I would point out that we talked about through budget is that discontinuation of taking electronics at the transfer site. So no longer a cost for electronics at the transfer site, because we would hand out brochures to tell people where they could take electronics.
Can I get a motion, please?
I move to approve the fee schedule for the town of Rome as submitted.
Second.
Any discussion? I had a quick question. What was the fee from the county prior and going forward going to be on electronics?
Brad, do you know what the county charges for TVs?
20 or 25?
And that past or present, future? Is that
Current.
per? That hasn't changed, that's what it's been?
Yes, yeah,
And we've been charging,
20. But they won't take all of our TVs.
You wanna come up to the mic, Brad?
Sorry. Their TV drop is more for residential, and when we're going down and we're taking 20 to 30 TVs, they will only allow us to take so many per week, so then we have to take some there, and we're taking some up to Rapids Express Recycling, and their fee is between 20 and up to 35 to 40, because they go off the size of the TV, whereas Adams County just goes off of any TV. So right now, last time we figured it, our cost to get rid of a TV is $33, $33.35, somewhere around there, but we're only charging at 20. We're losing money every time, and that, obviously now we have to haul them too, so we have the fee of, the cost of trucking them down to Adams County and up to Rapids.
And haven't we, at points, we've overflowed Rapids, so we've had to bring some back. We've taken them there and said, this is too many, they can't handle that many, so we've taken some back. When we did take TVs to Adams County, because we don't have them covered and singly wrapped, they usually take our TVs to a dynamic recycler in La Crosse, and so we're charged mileage from Adams County to La Crosse and back, and so then the TVs they cost even more than $33 to recycle, because we would have to individually wrap in order to make the components valuable to recyclers.
does the county themselves accept them from residents?
Yes.
So,
Yep.
all right. My thought would be then let folks know that they can take their own TV down to the county.
Yep, actually myself, and actually Deputy Clerk has been helping me with, we prepared a flyer
Okay.
that there is Rapids Express Recycling, there's ODC, there's I think it's called Bucks Recycling, he's on 13 South here, just north of Adams, and the Adams County landfill. So there'll be 4 different places they can take their TVs.
Okay.
And, sorry, not just TVs, e-waste, all electronic waste.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion's carried. Number 17, discussion of possible action, Rome Fire Department volunteer recruitment ideas. I don't expect action on this. I asked Jamie to put this on there because I think it's that important. Dan had sent out a notice of recruitment issues for services within towns, and it's not just us, it's across the nation. Did that go out to everybody?
That went in the packet last month,
Okay.
that article, yes.
And I just felt that it's one of those things that we're gonna have to address immediately. And all I'm doing is trying to bring forth, let's just start throwing ideas out down the road, think about it, future agendas. What can we do to help the fire department recruit? Two things came to mind with me right off the bat. One was exit interviews. You know, conduct exit interviews for anybody that leaves and go back maybe the last 10, 15, 20 people, talk to them, find out, and be honest about it. The second thing was when we, our last meeting, we did approve the fire chief to full-time status. And one of the thoughts I had at the time was that's gonna be an important part of the job going forward, big part. I can't say how many hours per week, but I'm thinking down the road, there's gonna be hours involved and recruitment processes or whatever they might be. So that was my thought on this whole thing. I again, don't expect the action, but I'm hoping down the road we come up with some ideas and look around the country and see what else is going on, how are they recruiting. You know, Jamie should have given Dex if he wants to move here, give him an application for the fire department right away, you know. Start there, you know. But wherever it's possible, I think it's that important. We're down to how many staff on staff right now?
We just recruited, you wanna come up to the mic, chief? We just brought on 2, so are we at 20, 21?
We should be at 20 now. The last Wednesday we held a open house recruitment drive. We had 4 folks join us for the evening. Out of that 4, we've received 2 applications back already. We've already hired one and put him on last night. So he is actually, we have a lot of training to go, but he would be eligible to show up the next time the pager went off and start in with our crew. I have another interview tomorrow afternoon with a young man that just moved into town. And we have another young lady that's interested in joining us. She hasn't just gotten her paperwork back yet. So it was a very successful night. There's a million options for us to start looking at for recruitment and retention. Some of our folks brought up the possibility of having a life insurance policy while you were active. And so we were actually going to look into that, whether that ends up being fund sponsored, town sponsored. There's a lot of options that we can look at and talk about as we go forward. But it's going to be an ongoing effort that's going to take a lot because it's a national trend. It's not us. It's not just Wisconsin. It's all the way through.
Chief, you still going to continue with the annual awards ceremony?
Yes, we skipped last year due to the COVID concerns, but we will be putting it back in this year.
Good.
Probably not in the glory that it was. I believe that it may have gotten a little bit pricey. The fund had a fat checkbook and it was willing to spend some of that, but we could definitely have the recognition and not have some of the extravagance that was going on a few of them.
I think I just open the floodgates. What's out there? What can we do? And let's bring the ideas in, see what we can do. We gotta help these folks out. So.
If you need some assistance from the town, you could also ask for a donation from the town for support of the award ceremony.
Historically, the fund has sponsored that, and it's there. But I appreciate that. And then we'll keep that into the future.
Anybody else any comments or just thoughts?
Volunteering is going to be dead in the next 20 years. Better come up with a plan B along the way.
I agree. I don't think it's going to take 20 years. That staffing model, that volunteer staffing model, goes back to before the United States of America was America. And you can watch just through the changes in society how it's dropped off and dropped off. There's people don't have as much time available or the desire to serve their community. There's going to have to be compensations put to it, and 70% of America is protected by volunteer fire departments right now. Okay, so,
Yeah, population's going up, volunteers going down.
yep,
Go figure.
And we do offer, I mean, a stipend, we could talk, but obviously we just did the wage approval too, I mean, we offer a stipend. I don't know that, I think a lot of the volunteer departments have finally gone to that, but there have been some in close to us that have just very recently gone to offering a stipend. They have truly been totally volunteer.
Okay, looking for ideas. Thank you.
thank you.
Any other comments?
I think if supervisors have thoughts about it, just please send them to me. Chief and I meet on a monthly basis, and they can be shared and discussed further and brought back to board too. So if you have further thoughts, please share them.
Thank you. That was 17. Number 18, the board may go into closed session under 19.85 sub 1 sub E for deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed sessions. TIF number 1, developers agreement with Sand Valley. And can I get a roll call vote starting from my left to go into closed session?
Gotta have a motion
Oh.
first. I'll make a
You're right.
motion that we go into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Stat 19.85 sub 1 sub C.
I'll second it.
It's sub E.
It said sub C, isn't it?
Sub E,
Sub E.
It's E, right?
Yeah, it is.
yes.
Oh, yes, it is, okay.
All right.
I was-
Now can I get a roll call vote starting from my left?
Reesinger, yes.
Minter, yes.
We didn't have a second.
Did we have a second?
Yeah, I
Yes.
second it.
Bob seconded it.
Hasdall, yes.
Goldman, yes.
Barheit, yes.
We are now in closed session.
So we will actually go over into the office. Just a reminder that the mics and the cameras stay live in this room while we're in closed session.
All right, number 19, the board reserves the right to enter into open session authorized by Wisconsin Statute Section 19.85 sub 2 to possibly take action from the closed session and continue with the agenda. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion to go back into open session.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote starting from my left.
Reesinger, yes.
Minter, yes.
Hasdall, yes.
Goldman, yes.
Barheit, yes.
Okay, we're now back in open session.
No action taken from closed session.
Okay. So we're done with 19. Dates and items for future agenda and meetings. Number 20, next agenda items.
I have a couple things for the agenda on the second, if there's other items, but it's already a lot formed.
Talking about the Firewise fees assessed.
Bring it, that's fine, bring it up there, that's fine, discussion.
Anything else?
I'm sure there will be.
Yeah, I
You have a way of doing that.
yes.
Coming into the snow plowing season, do we have a plan? What's our plan? Can we discuss it?
If we have Firewise, it will make sense to have Brad, so we could add snowplow on there
Sure.
also.
Yep. Anything else? Number 21, next meeting date and time?
I have Thursday, December 2nd, that would be again at 5 PM. We had said before we wanted to stick to that first and third Thursdays through the winter. I would just note that the agenda might get released a little bit later because of the holiday being next week.
Can I get a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. We are adjourned.